in financial sphere, for example, because payments in ruble rupee became more and more safe when you can expect that there will be some blackmailing. Just the trend is that more pressure, more cooperation.
The question is, in the backdrop of the major tariffs that have been imposed by America, how significant will BRICS as a trading group be against these tariffs by America, and would BRICS collectively stand up against the tariffs that have been put in place? And also the fact you mentioned that settling trade in local currencies will be important. How significant will it be going forward in the backdrop of the tariffs that America is?
Thank you. Yes, there are some discussion around that BRICS can respond collectively to the tariffs policy. This dialogue cannot be excluded because a lot of interested countries are there in order to find some response towards that. BRICS, as we all know, is a new mechanism of global governance. This is a platform to discuss and implement interests of the global majority of developing countries, first of all, who are keen for mutually respectful and mutually beneficial cooperation. In BRICS, we have developed the culture of open partnership, open cooperation, and mutual respect and benefit. The membership of BRICS has doubled, and we have also developed the category of partner countries, which is also about 10 member states. So this is a huge number of countries which now represent around half population of the world. And according to the global purchase parity, in GDP terms, GDP is overcoming G7. This figure for BRICS is about $77 trillion, but for the G7 is 57, $20 billion left. Trillion, sorry. So the trade within BRICS is growing against the backdrop of the current turbulence. For example, Russia's trade with BRICS partners has increased by 70.5% in the previous year. And the point is that the more challenging and unpredictable the global environment becomes, the more relevant BRICS becomes as a stabilizing force and a center of gravity for those who are seeking a mutually beneficial cooperation, grounded in respect for sovereignty and diversity. Coming back to the what we have started with, BRICS has proven itself as a trusted platform to talk about the global developments and regional problems. And we have developed a very robust coordination on and within the important leading platforms such as United Nations, G20, or FATF and others. While the challenges ahead are considerable, our collective potential forms a solid foundation to address the complexities of the 21st century, to promote the truly multipolar cooperation from which all our countries will benefit. Thank you. Next, please. G. deeper.
Thanks for taking my question. So we have seen the White House and the senior functionaries of the Trump administration making very victorious statements against India for importing Russian oil. And the main logic for that, according to them, is that they wanted to put pressure on Russia. And by taking one of the big clients out. This has this figure in the competition between Russia and the US. We have just seen the summit and the main issue with the Ukraine conflict, but the very fact that the aim seems to be to put economic pressure on Russia. So have you taken on this matter with the US, and also have these conversations figured between the two countries? President Putin spoke twice this month to the So how do you see this playing out? Do you see the Indian imports continuing, or do you think that you will take up this issue with Washington? Thank you.
Thank you, Srikanji. Leaders are not limited in their conversation between themselves, so they touch upon all the issues which are currently of vital importance. We cannot exclude that everything has been touched upon. I haven't seen the official readout in the official readouts that these topics were specifically discussed. Maybe they were just not mentioned because, according to some media reports, the Trump has decided to postpone imposing sanctions on India an additional 25%. I mean, just the tariffs, right? So, generally speaking. So our take is that any kind of a trade protectionism policy provokes disputes and instability in the global trade, as well as violation of the most favored nation principles of the WTO. So if the Indian goods are facing difficulties entering the US market, the Russian market is, would welcome Indian imports to the most extent possible. So don't worry about that. So as far as energy is concerned, indeed, so we see that actually that would be quite detrimental to the global economic stability and energy security. As we discussed before, Russia is the largest producer of oil. India is the largest consumer. Any kind of unilateral actions lead to disruptions.
It's on Amazon Prime. I miss drumming, yeah. What's all this? Jo Dil Chahe. It's on Amazon Prime. Unlimited free and fast delivery. Blockbuster entertainment. Join Amazon Prime now.
As per the Russian experience. So if hypothetically India refuses from the Russian oil, it will not lead to the equal cooperation and mutually beneficial cooperation with the West in general, because it is not in the Western nature, which was clearly demonstrated in recent years. So they behave like neo-colonial powers, just exploiting and just thinking about benefit for themselves. So we can just agree that this pressure is unjustified and just indeed quite unilateral. Another observation is that a lot of pressure comes from the European Union. And as far as our estimates is concerned, the recent package of sanctions against Russia from the European Union, the 18th one, would not have much impact on the Russian oil trade. In the recent years, we have been able to significantly reduce our dependence on the services in this regard which European Union is providing.
Also, I think here that there is no alternative to Russian crude oil because our crude oil is very competitive in price, and besides that, such volume really is significant. That is why practically it's very profitable for India due to price which we propose, and it's billions. It means that profit is very high. And in such situation, I suppose the government, Indian government, absolutely understand that there is no chance. There is no chance to change for any other suppliers.
India is singled out on this issue, on the secondary tariffs. How do you look at it? India is punished for buying Russian oil, and they are saying that India has been fueling war machinery. How do you look at these assertions, and what is the way out, if you can give us?
Is it the question about the Ukrainian president?
I wanted to ask you how this will affect, suppose India has to stop lifting oil from Russia, how will it affect overall relations? In case India is forced to, what impact will it have on relations?
First of all, we don't expect that to happen. And second, whatever happens, we know the challenging circumstances for India, and the point is that this is the true strategic partnership which we are enjoying. That means that we have earned the trust in our relations. Whatever happens, even if there are some challenges, even the problems, we are committed to remove them in the relations. We are able to sit together and honestly remove these problems and at least minimize their impact with due respect to national interests. So the problem of sanctions we have seen for many years already. So, but have a look, our trade is growing. During the recent couple of years, it has increased 7 times. It means that we managed to find the solutions to any challenging situations. Right now, we are at the verge of something historical happening globally. So, because when it comes to the leaders' conversation, probably there is signals that some changes are in the air in the relations between global powers, how we manage the security architecture globally and regionally, and of course the especially recent telephone call by President Putin to Prime Minister of India, Modi, explaining and sharing the information about the recent developments around Ukraine, about this turbulent situation. That means that India matters very much to us. We are sharing, we are coordinating, and we are discussing everything. So we are absolutely capable to find any solution for the mutual satisfaction, because because our cooperation, the deepening of our partnership, would help us to grow together. And just to make a small supplement to that, anyone in the world who is valuing its sovereignty and independence is at risk for the pressure from the West. That means just one thing. If West criticizes you, you are doing everything right.
Hi sir, this is Paresh from CNBC TV. My question to you would be about world trade again. In overall growth, if I would ask you about this year, 2025, what is the kind of growth that we're looking at oil imports from Russia over last year? And secondly, could you give us a sense of the discount levels and what the kind of discounts that Russia is looking to offer in the coming months?
See, total amount of Indian refinery, if I'm not mistaken, 250 million. And 40%.
Maybe it's 250 million barrels per day, or what is 250
million tons.
million tons? This is
Annually in India. And it means that Russia provides 40% from this amount. Practically half. As for discount, see, it's a commercial secret, I think, because it's usually just dialogue between businessmen. And approximately, usually 5% discount.
5% discount on an average. On an average.
Yes.
5%.
Yes. But it's fluctuating, but nevertheless, usually plus minus.
My question are all the tariff that is the politics is going on. What is the upcoming projects, especially in defense and analysis between India and Russia? And one more thing that earlier we have seen so many cultural exchange also which were supporting the trade, other trades, but now it's missing. So any idea that what is the reason, what is the plan for that?
Про энергопроекты скажете? Про энергопроекты скажете?
Да я понял. As for energy projects, we have different ones, power machines, Hydro, and we have just. I can name companies. Power Machine provides equipment for thermal stations. Hydro is elaborating now projects on the north of India in mountain area. Also, oil belongs to energy sector. So practically, energy sector is the most intensively developed between two countries. There are some more companies, but I think 3-4 companies it's enough. Okay.
Just to add a bit, I'd like just to support Mr. Grieva by saying that Russia remains the major contributor to the Indian energy security, not just by supplying the largest part of oil, but also and the companies which are functioning in the Indian market, in the hydropower sector and others. So we are very deeply involved in the nuclear power. So we are constructing the huge nuclear power plant in Kudankulam and Tamil Nadu. We are at the advanced stage of dialogue on the small modular reactors. We are doing petrochemicals, and we are doing a lot of investment cooperation in both countries, by the way. And certainly a lot of new areas are on the table, such as the joint extraction and joint development of oil fields, then the cooperation in Arctic zone, and many others. So there is a very comprehensive picture of our energy.
One talk between India and Russia is going on railway sector.
Railway, yes, absolutely. We participate in the Multipolar project. Yes, railway is a traditional legal partnership. Probably you're not mentioning that because actually everyone knows. But anyway, so this is indeed the very dynamically, dynamic cooperation in the railway sector as well, by constructing trains, by supplying equipment, by consultancies or sharing the experience, and moving towards the high-speed trains. So all the Russian capabilities are there for the Indian disposal. Then you are asking about culture. So it is one of the, again, this is one of the very exciting parts of our partnership. I like it the most, by the way. It is very deep and very intense. We have so many events happening around. So the cultural festivals are happening regularly. I will just mention to you the particular examples. So about the visit of the Republic communique, we spoke today in the morning, earlier days. So this is very strong pillar of our people-to-people partnership, based on our inter-civilizational bonds around Buddhism. Then in July and August in Russia, we have seen very large Indian cultural festivals in Moscow, attended by thousands and even millions of people, very popular in Russia and very well received. Russia in the beginning of the year was the focus country in the Indian Book Fair. It was a great event which was attended by this Russian Speaker of the Russian Parliament, who simultaneously had the official visit to India. And we expect that India will take part in the Moscow International Book Fair as the main guest, which is taking place in September. We participated very actively, traditionally, in the Soch Multipolar as well. We are planning to have a large presence at the Dussehra celebrations. We are conducting regular official festivals of culture of two countries each year. By the end of the year, we expect the Days of Moscow in India to happen. The intensity of the exchanges between artists has grown. And for example, at the Central Museum of Moscow, Sanctions, we are considering opening the Indian exhibition by India Crafts Museum. So along with that, we are getting more deeply involved in our cinema cooperation. A Russian delegation was among the largest at the WAVES summit in Mumbai in May, which has produced a lot of agreements in this area between the governments and between the private companies. We have even produced this year. We have produced the joint film, which is called Pearl, or they call it in Russian Жемчуг, which has won a couple of awards in Russia recently. So we do a lot. This is a very traditional part of our interaction, and which is very well received in both countries. This is the backbone of our strategic partnership, which has started much earlier than we have established diplomatic relations, because it was forever. We started learning about each other from books, from the exchanges, rather than from colonial wars and their documents. Thank you.
So, on the 15th of August, the Prime Minister stressed the need for a jet engine ecosystem in India. And India is very struggling with this jet engine. So, Russia will be welcoming to assist India in this jet engine program. Since the already having India, we see the trial and saving because of the war. So, Russia will.
फिर ये डुगडुगी गई कहाँ? पापा के साथ साथ सारे सपने भी चले गए। अब तो बस अपने गैराज में बैठा लोगों की डुगडुगी ठीक करता रहता हूँ। और अपने बच्चों के सपनों के साथ ऐसा कुछ नहीं होने देना। वो कैसे? पहले से लाइफ इंश्योरेंस का टर्म प्लान ले रखा है। बड़े भैया।
सपनों को रखो सुरक्षित टर्म प्लान के साथ। सबसे पहले लाइफ इंश्योरेंस।
Actively participating in Make in India campaign even much before it has been announced officially. So since, as you know, since 1998, we are developing joint venture BRICS, producing now best in the world supersonic cruise missiles. Since then, we have dramatically expanded the program of our joint engagements in the production of various even sophisticated equipment, and jet engines is one of them. As far as we all know, we have agreed to jointly produce jet engines for Sukhoi jets here in India. And this is just one of the steps towards the further expansion and advancement of this cooperation. So whether India wants it to be with Russia or with the other partners, so it depends on India, of course, but Russia is all set to support India in its endeavors.
Sorry, 1 second, I put the thing.
On the so over the past few weeks, we've seen a lot of engagements between India and Russia, India and China. Has there been any serious conversations on the level of RSC, China? And if so, when do you see that happening?
Thank you. RIC's importance has never been questioned. When right time comes, it will be resumed. Russia hopes that it will happen rather earlier than later. As you know, Russia is a sincere well-wisher to the normalization of Indo-China relations. And that's why we welcome the very successful visit of the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi to India and interactions which took place in the recent 2 days at the highest level.
Next question is
I name is Jayapuraj from Delhi. I just want to know the same India Pakistan relationship and how does especially the tension going on about this India's water treaty. And I'm asking you to discuss it because one side you have a certain relationship with India, the other side your relationship with Tanzania also good. Thank you.
Russia is of clear stance that this is a bilateral dispute. And we welcome the agreement on de-escalation achieved between the two sides in May. And we support settlement of disputes by political and diplomatic means on a bilateral basis here. As far as the Operation Sindoor and the temporal tensions between India and Pakistan is concerned, Russia has many times expressed its position. Our leaders exchanged their views on that when they spoke in May, on 5th of May, right before the operation. President Putin has decisively condemned the terrorist attack in Pahalgam in April and said that fight against terrorism should be uncompromised. So I would probably stop here.
So we continue, Mr. Kamal, please. The Prime Minister talked about the Israel shield during the Independence speech. Any Russian initiative in that? Russia had been there in that initiative.
Maybe air defense shield. Air defense.
इस डिब्बे में क्या है? प्यार भरी मिठाई की मिठास है, सजावट वाली खुशी की चमक है। इस डिब्बे में त्योहार वाली फील है, छोटी बड़ी तैयारी पे ढेर सारी डील है। Amazon, हर त्योहार बेहतर।
Jokes aside, so again, just coming back to this important and very sensitive issue, this is about, how strong is the Russian factor in the Indian defense capabilities. Russian weapon is a natural choice for the Indian Army General, and just linking the two questions with the Operation Sindoor as well, that witnessed as a very successful battle test for the Russian systems, and S-400 was one of them. It naturally, it's already is a part of Indian air defense systems. So, and we proceed from the understanding that when it comes to the advancement of these systems, the Russian equipment will be part of it.
Russia, please. Second is, do you think what is the tracking to cause secular again in polarization? And first, during the presidency of G20, India formed Voice of South Global, so that third countries are listening to. And our Prime Minister said many times that if time will come, we will be in the you think the Voice of South Global in other countries will be integrated in the WTO?
Well, we don't see much negative impact tariffs adventures against India to impact on Russia-India trade relations. Moreover, we will find the ways out, and if Indian goods are facing some barriers in other countries, the Russian market will welcome them to increase. So as far as the potential emergence of a situation which would look like a Cold War point two. So we in fact don't expect that to happen because there is no desire for that among the global majority. The Global South you have mentioned, we work on that together with other partners among this category of countries in the framework of BRICS, and there is important and forward-looking initiatives by Prime Minister Modi the establishment of mechanisms of voice of Global South. The Indian presidency in G20 was another attempt to attract attention to the needs and requests and interests of the Global South countries in their dialogue with the developing countries. Because, this negative scenario would contradict the entire idea of multipolarity, which in fact should be based on a simple and unified basis, which is the central role of the United Nations and its principles of the Charter. First of all, sovereign equality of states and respect of each other. So, therefore, I think that that will just, not accepted by the majority of the countries. So, if I understand your question correctly.
Хорошо.
So my question is, the Trump administration from the last couple of days have been making this claim that additional 25% tariff on India perhaps came as a factor to bring President Putin to the tables in Alaska. So that's an American view. How do you look at this view of America? Thank you.
There is so much rumors and speculations about this summit in Alaska which took place on the 15th of
जब मैक्स प्रोटीन बार है तो हेल्थ से चीटिंग क्यों करते हो ब्रदर?
High protein, tasty and filling, natural ingredients.
प्रोटीन स्नैकिंग मतलब नो चीटिंग.
in-depth and very prolonged conversation. The agenda was a diversified one, so we are absolutely not about to link it to just one particular question. We talk about the restoration of the relations between Russia and the US, and for that rebuilding trust is one of the most significant tasks. For that point, the leaders' meeting was of a tremendous and critical importance, either for the bilateral relations or for the world in general. Certainly, they have discussed a lot of things related to the international situation about the crisis in Ukraine. They spent a lot of time discussing that, and as far as I've heard, we heard here in the mission, maybe it is also spread in the mass media as well, that after this meeting, which was, according to the assessments by President Trump, was very successful, very positive, and I think I heard that he decided to not to impose extra 25% on India. For the time being. So according to the information which we are, which we are facing, spread in mass media that after this, engagement between the two presidents, President Trump decided not to impose extra 25% tariffs on India.
Looks like media reports or
Media reports, according to media reports. I didn't see other reports.
Hi, good afternoon, sir. My name is Deva and I'm from results. My question is about the SEA summit that is going to happen in Tianjin in China. What's the likelihood of possible trilateral between the three leaders from Russia, China and India? And would there also be a bilateral that takes place between the Russian head of state and the Indian head of state? Also, what are the key areas of convergence between the three countries, Russia, China and India at this stage?
Thank you very much. You're right. We are all preparing to attend the SEO summit at the highest political level. Quite recently, during the engagements with the Chinese foreign minister, in recent days, the Indian side confirmed the participation of Honorable Prime Minister Xi, attendance of the summit. There are also reports that we are preparing the bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Modi and President Putin. As far as trilateral is concerned, let's see, we are quite hopeful that this format will be resumed sooner rather than later, because its importance is not questioned. But we should wait until the right time comes. So anyway, we would welcome these developments because it proved its efficiency when we had a regular interaction on the ministerial level and even at the leaders level. If you remember, before the pandemic, leaders of Russia and China used to meet regularly on the sidelines of G20 meetings. It would be natural to expect that at some point of time in the future we will have the resumption of this practice, hopefully. And as far as convergence is concerned, of course, the SCO is all about the regional stability in Eurasia, and which is mostly dependent on how the relations between the three largest countries in the region, Russia, India, and China, is developing. So more interaction, more engagements we will have, more common ground we will find in how we deal with the regional stability issues. So this is also closely linked to the Russian initiative of the establishment of the Greater Eurasian Partnership, which means that we should build the cooperation between the integration mechanisms, multilateral integration mechanisms in the region for the sake of undivided security. That means that someone's security should not be compromised at the expense of some other security. So that's why more dialogue, more benefit will be for all of us. Absolutely, that would be important to see that we have also practical cooperation between the three countries. We had very positive examples before 2020, when in the format of RIC we had joint engagements while we exchanged young diplomats, we exchanged scholars, we conducted joint conferences and seminars. So
festive season ke kya plans hai? Diwali night done right. Indo fusion, perfect for the after party. And I'm ready for my family dinner. Har pal a different tune. Har pal on trend with Amazon. Traditional or fusion, if it's on trend, it's on Amazon. Amazon, har pal fashionable.
My name is Sajeev Kumar Bhagat, and I am from the Magazine. So, I have a query. How do you see the proposed Trump corridor between an Azeri entity in Armenia and Azerbaijan impacting the international north-south transport corridor, the INSTC, that is supposed to connect St. Petersburg with Mumbai?
Thank you, but I don't think that these two topics are interlinked. I don't think these two topics are, coming together, because, the settlement between Armenia and Azerbaijan is one thing, the INSTC is another project, so they are different in nature. But in fact, you're right in one point that, more stability we have in the region, more favorable conditions are there for the promotion and the implementation of multilateral projects like INSTC. In fact, when it comes to Armenia and Azerbaijan and Trump's mediation in this particular, conflict, that we would say that Russia is interested in the establishment of the stability and prosperity in this region. Therefore, we are constantly supporting all the endeavors aimed at these goals, and which would benefit the regional security. We take it positively. And we are hopeful that the promotion of this agenda would promote peaceful and inclusive environment in the region. But we would like to specify that the beginning of the normalization of the ties between Armenia and Azerbaijan was started with the Russian efforts in 2020, when we started three-lateral engagements, and ultimately, so we have the situation which has developed today. So Russia remains an important part of this region, so we will deal with the countries, and we are ready to offer our good services if they are required at any point.
This is Rishi Singh from Business Area. I have a small question. When is President Putin likely to come to India? There must have been discussions about his coming this time since freedom very last year. And also about the regional trade, how much of the existing trade between India and Russia is being done in local currencies? And one last question. These oil inputs, if you take it, these oil inputs, are they done through the oil marketing companies directly or through traders? Because when India started to import oil from Russia, it was being done through traders and not directly through oil marketing companies. So I wanted to know if there is a change.
So, first question, no dates are announced yet, we don't know. Second question is about 90% of our mutual settlements comes in national currencies when it comes to direct payments. The third question is it's something very specific, so actually it depends on each particular case if Mr. Gabriel would comment on that.
Yes, as for sales, now practically we have direct supply and long-term contract between Rosneft and Reliance. But mostly via traders for spot market. Mostly. Only practically two direct supply from Rosneft to Nayara and direct supply from Rosneft to Reliance. That's all.
Just one clarification. Direct trade, you mean government to government?
Country to country.
Country to country, so 90% of all trades.
I mean, company to company, well, organization to organization, so we need that kind of.
waiting for progress. What we were related to the Naira issue, Naira has been sanctioned. Has there been any discussion between the Russian side and the Indian side of the Naira refinery, and how does Naira refinery therefore continue to operate?
You mean negotiation between
India and Russia, and discuss this about?
See, but there is no problem with Naya.
इस डिब्बे में क्या है? प्यार भरी मिठाई की मिठास है, सजावट वाली खुशी की चमक है। इस डिब्बे में त्योहार वाली फील है, छोटी बड़ी तैयारी पे ढेर सारी डील है। Amazon, हर त्योहार बेहतर।
No need. I mean, Nayara is a daughter company of Rosneft.
Its importance is hardly overestimated because it provides for about 7 or 8% of the distribution of energy resources in India, having thousands of pump stations, having employed tens of thousands of people here in India. And of course, the company needs to be supported in terms of functioning properly for the sake of the interests of the Indian population.
I'm not sure. I suppose the question I was so we want to please choices.
Just wanted to understand what extent there is a research within this field, or should we expect this visit? Also the fact that there will be discussion with President Putin as far as tariff is concerned. And you see in this strategic or economic cooperation between Russia and India as a counterbalance to increasing Western trade restrictions.
Sorry, please come again with first you asked about the date of...
Yes,
we don't know whether the issue of the tariffs will be raised during these conversations. Well, no one would limit our leaders to talk to each other, so we haven't heard that actually he meets his counterpart, Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov tomorrow. President Putin, we haven't seen any announcement as yet whether he will be seen by the president. So, and as far as agenda is concerned, so they will discuss everything which is right now is vitally important for the bilateral relations and what are the current issues of the global importance as well. So the second point was about...
You see enhanced strategic economic cooperation for the Russia and India.
Absolutely. Well, but we don't see that in the context of counterbalancing. This is an absolutely different nature of the relations. It's not a black and white picture. We don't cooperate with India against anyone. We don't cooperate within BRICS against anyone. We cooperate for the sake of the benefit of the peoples of our nations. So we don't take it as a counterbalance to any Western camp or whatever. Moreover, we have never imposed any restrictions or conditions on India. So India is a global power with a diversified foreign policy, with the leading economic power, and we understand how much is the importance of its relations with the West. Our engagements are non-Western, but not anti-Western. Whatever you take, bilateral or multilateral. So that's an important point to make. So, and Russia also wants more cooperation with the West, but actually it was not Russia who started this, conflicts and misunderstanding. So, but when it comes to Russian relations, it is absolutely not framed to balance anything or to be targeted against anyone.
Okay, so the last question please, Sanjana Sharma, someone to be over here. So, friends, thank you very much for coming to this official board. I want to know what your requests.
Шурат Каренги. Мазур. Шри Ганеш Каренги. Тхора Ганеш Чатурхи Илемброс. Sit here, such an view, ladies and gentlemen, and friends from media, a lot of familiar faces and there are a lot of newcomers to the Russian embassy. We would like to welcome everyone here. आपका हार्दिक स्वागत.
गोल्ड स्टैंडर्ड परफॉर्मेंस के लिए चाहिए ऑप्टिमम न्यूट्रिशन गोल्ड स्टैंडर्ड 100% वे.
Regular press briefings. If you remember, last year we did in the same format along with our good colleague and friend of ours, Mr. Evgeny Glebov. We have, as Peter specified, we have received a lot of questions regarding the current dynamics in Russia-India relations and the global dynamics. And there are a lot of, I should admit, coinciding questions. That's why we were trying to generalize them. But anyway, we will try to cover all the important topics interested to you so that everyone could benefit from our interaction. So, one of the general points which many of you have made in sending question to us was the somehow general assessment of the current Russia-India cooperation. And I would like to make a comment just responding to this particular question which which was of interest to many of you. So we are in the recent 2 weeks, our leaders spoke twice. In the recent 2 weeks, our leaders spoke twice. Over the telephone, President Putin congratulated Prime Minister Modi on the Independence Day. He offered his condolences over devastating floods in Kashmir, and he also shared the information, the contents of his interaction with the US President Donald Trump. Currently, Dr. Jaishankar, External Affairs Minister, is in Russia to co-chair IRIGC Russia-India Intergovernmental Commission today itself on the 20th of August. So our meeting is very timely. So we are supporting our dignitaries in their conversations. And tomorrow, Dr. Jaishankar will be meeting Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. IRGC is the main mechanism of the Russian-Indian cooperation, practical cooperation, and to prepare the contacts of our leaders, which, as you may be aware, there are some information that by the end of the year, leaders will be meeting here in Delhi. No dates have been announced as yet. So, but this mechanism is the critical to prepare the substance of the current of the future engagements. Basically, based on the outcomes of the last year's summits. You remember that Prime Minister Modi visited Russia twice last year. The agenda, you will not be surprised by realizing that we have a very comprehensive agenda generally, and it will cover the issues of trade, investments, financial cooperation, energy cooperation, nuclear power, culture, infrastructure, etc. On the sidelines of the current events in Moscow, we will have a bilateral business forum conducted by the Business Council on Cooperation with India from the Moscow government and FICI. Among the future engagements is the SCO summit in China. There were reports that our leaders are also planning to meet over there. Further delegation exchanges are very intense. One visit I would like to specify especially, this is the visit of the head of the Republic of Kalmykia. This is the Russian Southern Republic to India. Mr. Batum Hasikov, who is now in India, he visited Delhi. He is now in Bodh Gaya. The places of his program could really highlight the essence of his engagements with the Indian dignitaries, officials. So it comes in the context of the Republic of Kalmykia being the most western part of the world, which with Buddhism as a dominating religion. This visit comes in the context of the preparations for the third International Buddhism Forum, which will take place in Kalmykia and its capital city, Elista. We expect to receive and to welcome high-profile delegation from India. And we would like to highly appreciate and extend our sincere and deep gratitude to the Indian government, which graciously consented to provide Lord Buddha relics to demonstrate during this event. This is a very important gesture. All that engagements altogether are definitely providing a very good impetus to the development and deepening of our special privileged strategic partnership, which is of a long-term, forward-looking, equal, comprehensive, mutually respectful, and trusted, based on our national interests. The situation over the recent couple of years clearly demonstrates and confirms that the strength of our relations allows us to successfully adjust ourselves to whatever circumstances are there at the international stage. So I will probably stop here with these general remarks and invite all of you for our interaction. You are most welcome.
Colleagues, you are starting with the question as I informed most of you that this question I mean. I'm going to look at the mic and we have maybe some time for questions. Please understand that there are a lot of patients and most of them are going to tripled. It's very unfollowable. So,
I'm Mahasukhi and I'm from and I'm from the Sanctions Global. I have a question. What is the current trade with Russia, and during the forthcoming visit of President Putin, what would be the focus areas for expanding trade? And if you can talk about the critical minerals and their
Since we have the advantage of having a deputy trade representative, Mr. Griva, so let us give the floor to him because his expertise will give you a more detailed picture.
Thank you for the question. And see, we have really very stable growth in our trade. And definitely, first year after 2023, there was growth approximately 3 times, after 80%. Now we reached level and we can predict that, forecast that usual growth in trade will be approximately 10% annually. Besides that, we see the tendency that now Indian export towards Russia is growing bigger and faster. Also we see that, first of all, oil, crude oil, it's the main item of our export, but nevertheless we see the tendency when number and range of goods commodities is increasing. And besides that, we see that, and I wanted to highlight that despite political situation, we can predict that the same level of oil import, crude oil import, would be approximately the same. And it's absolutely positive trend. Because Russia is a main supplier, but we see that the number of goods was also widening, and besides that, very important that India also increasing its export to Russia and machine tools. Also electronic devices, and because usually we are saying that tea, rice, etc. But mostly and main items now are machine tools and pharma and chemicals.
I would like to add a couple of ideas for you to realize about the also big things which we are working on along with the trade and economic cooperation. It's everyday routine. So as you know, Russia is the 4th largest trading partner in India, and we, as Mr. Griva mentioned, we expect to remain in the same position given the current growth rates of our commercial trade. So and along with the energy supplies, we are the leaders in fertilizers. We are supplying some agricultural goods things, but as far as big things is concerned, we are moving towards the implementation of the leader's task stipulated last year about the reaching 100 billion trade by 2030, and all the measures will be taken in this direction. Then we need to reduce trade imbalance, which is currently about $60 billion. We will remove further barriers in trade. We will facilitate interaction between the business circles and to try to give a new push to alternative logistics corridors like INSTC, like Vladivostok-Chennai, which is functioning pretty well. And of course, we will further develop our payments and transactions mechanisms. Certainly among the big things, of course, is how we proceed towards the FTA between Eurasian Economic Union and India. A couple of things which we need to regulate, like labor migration, like investment treaty. So these are the picture which broadly covers our major areas of interaction in trade and economic sphere.
So, Krishnadas, I don't see your already.
My name is Krishna, I'm from Reuters. So the question is, with US tariff on 25%, how do you think you're able to keep buying oil from, and at the same time, because prices are also rising for India? So how do you think that will work out in terms of what kind of mechanisms can you work on? You just mentioned rupee is something that would be acceptable to rupee trade, rupee wouldn't trade, just like that.
See, definitely there were some mechanisms how to supply crude oil, and for my mind, now we can't discuss it because it's really very special mechanism how to do it. But only one thing is absolutely clear, that the percentage which Russia provides, approximately 40%. It's very important. It's a crucial share for Indian economy, and it means that the situation practically couldn't be changed.
I would like to support Mr. Grigor by saying that let's proceed from the facts that Russia is the biggest supplier to India of the crude oil, and India's demands are growing year by year, and certainly this is a perfect case of mutual accommodation and supplementarity of our economies. Absolutely. So this is not the first time while our trade and economic relations and our particular goods are threatened by external factors. But each and every time, I invite you to remember that we have managed to succeed and to find ways how we can further cut the rate based on our mutual interests, national interests. So we are quite certain that our cooperation will continue.
How do you assess in general the impact of sanctions and secondary sanctions provided by the West on national elections at the moment?
Well, as we all know, the sanctions are a tool of unlawful competition. competition. It's always about double standards, a lack of trust, blackmail and pressure, as well as disrespect of national interests. Friends don't behave like that. You will never see sanctions imposed by Russia or within BRICS organizations where we together participate. Non-United Nations sanctions and secondary sanctions are illegal. They just weaponize the economy. Despite the tremendous sanction pressure on Russia, you would see the Russian economy is growing steadily. It means that you cannot exclude from the global economy such a big and important country like Russia with its tremendous energy, industrial and human potential. So meaning that sanctions fail, and moreover they hit those who are opposing them. We see that Europe right now is in recession. Some countries face deindustrialization. There is an employment crisis as well. That also leads to the lack of trust towards the global currencies like the US dollars and euro, and paving the way to use more national currencies in our settlements. As a matter of fact, according to the IMF figures, euro has lost its status as the second global asset in the world. The gold replaced euro at the moment. Thank you.
Сейчас Петя еще минутку добавим.
And just with what Mr. Babushkin said, we see that after such pressure, we see increasing of cooperation because, and especially in financial sphere, for example, because payments in ruble became more and more safe when you can expect that there will be some blackmailing. Just the trend is that more pressure, more cooperation.
The question is, in the backdrop of the major tariffs that have been imposed by America, how significant will BRICS as a trading group be against these tariffs by America, and would BRICS collectively stand up against the tariffs that have been put in place? And also the fact you mentioned that settling trade in local currencies will be important. How significant will be going forward in the backdrop of the tariffs that America has?
Thank you. Yes, there are some discussion around that BRICS can respond collectively to the tariffs policy. This dialogue cannot be excluded because a lot of interested countries are there in order to find some response towards that. BRICS, as we all know, is a new mechanism of global governance. This is a platform to discuss and implement interests of the global majority of developing countries, first of all, who are keen for a mutually respectful and mutually beneficial cooperation. In BRICS, we have developed the culture of open partnership, open cooperation, and mutual respect and benefit. The membership of BRICS has doubled, and we have also developed the category of partner countries, which is also about 10 member states. So this is a huge number of countries which now represent around half population of the world. And according to the global purchase parity in GDP terms, GDP is overcoming G7. This figure for BRICS is about $77 trillion, but for the G7 is 57, $20 billion left. Trillion, sorry. So the trade within BRICS is growing against the backdrop of the current turbulence. For example, Russia's trade with BRICS partners has increased by 70.5% in the previous year. And the point is that the more challenging and unpredictable the global environment becomes, the more relevant BRICS becomes as a stabilizing force and a center of gravity for those who are seeking a mutually beneficial cooperation, grounded in respect for sovereignty and diversity. Coming back to the what we have started with, BRICS has proven itself as a trusted platform to talk about the global developments and regional problems. And we have developed a very robust coordination on and within the important leading platforms such as United Nations, G20, or FATF and others. While the challenges ahead are considerable, our collective potential forms a solid foundation to address the complexities of the 21st century, to promote the truly multipolar cooperation from which all our countries will benefit. Thank you. Next, please. G.
Thanks for taking my question. So we have seen the White House and the senior functionaries of the Trump administration making very victorious statements against India for importing Russian oil. And the main logic for that, according to them, is that they wanted to put pressure on Russia. And by taking one of the big clients out. This has this figure in the conversation between Russia and the US. We have just seen the summit and though the legal issue with the Ukraine conflict, but the very fact that the aim seems to be to put economic pressure on Russia. So have you taken on this matter with the US, and also have these conversations figured between the two countries? President Putin spoke twice this month to UNOD. So how do you see this playing out? Do you see the Indian imports continuing, or do you think that you will take up this issue with Washington? Thank you.
Thank you, Srikanji. Well, leaders are not limited in their conversation between themselves, so they touch upon all the issues which are currently of vital importance. We cannot exclude that everything has been touched upon. I haven't seen the official readout in the official readouts that these topics were specifically discussed. Maybe they were just not mentioned because, according to some media reports, the Trump has decided to postpone imposing sanctions on India an additional 25%. I mean, just the tariffs, right? So, generally speaking, So our take is that any kind of a trade protectionism policy provokes disputes and instability in the global trade, as well as violation of the most favored nation principles of the WTO. So if the Indian goods are facing difficulties entering the US market, the Russian market is, would welcome Indian imports to the most extent possible. So don't worry about that. So as far as energy is concerned, indeed, so we see that actually that would be quite detrimental to the global economic stability and energy security. As we discussed before, Russia is the largest producer of oil. India is the largest consumer. Any kind of unilateral actions lead to disruptions in supply chains, lead to imbalance in pricing policies. So it would potentially lead to price hikes and destabilization of global markets and endangering energy security of developing countries, first of all. Moreover, let's keep in mind, as per the Russian experience, so if hypothetically India refuses from the Russian oil, it will not lead to the equal cooperation and mutually beneficial cooperation with the West in general, because it is not in the Western nature, which was clearly demonstrated in recent years. So they behave like neo-colonial powers, just exploiting and just thinking about benefit for themselves. So we can just agree